Funding your business during a crisis is a challenge, to say the least. In this video, what we're going to talk about are some of the ideas, the tips, the tricks, the tactics that we have been using to not only survive, but also begin to build a path to a new future. We're also going to give you an update on where things are when it comes to the economic injury disaster loan that we applied for. And in fact, we are going to take you inside the actual portal that you may have heard of many times and show you some of the things that are there as well. So it may not feel like it, but economic downturns actually serve a purpose. I often will say things like, hey, the economic downturn is actually an opportunity. And indeed, it is, because what happens is that it allows you and I to enter into a marketplace that might have been honestly just too expensive. What it comes down to right now is that for many people who are just now getting in, they're finding you very unique opportunity to begin to build their cash flow using short-term rentals and make, well, money happen. But for those of us who were in before, we could still be in the stage where we're trying to figure out how on earth am I going to make the business work? And here's the answer. The equation has always been income minus expenses equals net operating income. So here's what happens. Oftentimes when things are easy or when things are going well, or we feel like we have an abundance of resources, wealth, if you will, there's the wealth effect where you don't always use every bit of your creativity to solve a problem. I mean, like, why bother? If I can just throw money at it, there's no need to try to work any harder, right? So during times when cash may be tight, or when you are trying to figure out how on earth can I make more money before the month is over, we got to get more creative. And it's during those times, as an entrepreneur, what you are able to do is to literally invent possibility, what feels like it's out of nothing. Here's what I mean. When it comes to your short-term rental business right now, one of the number one things that you've got to begin to do is to think about the equation. The equation is L times C times M times F equals GP. That's an equation that comes from Ryan Dice over at Digital Marketer, and it stands for leads times customers times margin times frequency equals growth potential. Anytime you have a revenue situation, that's the first equation that I love going to, because remember, income minus expenses equals net operating income. So if we're focused on the income, then what I've got to figure out is, am I generating enough leads? Are enough of those leads converting? And if they are converting, am I selling enough to each and every customer? And more importantly, what are we doing right now to increase the frequency from the same customers? If we have pulled, or as you ask yourself questions about each of those levers, what tends to happen is you find new opportunity. Now, here's the thing. The opportunity was always there. It never wasn't there. It's just there was no need for it to be there. There was no need for you and I to do the work until, well, we saw cash or reservations or cancellations go the other way. So let me give you a very simple example. Many of you are familiar with all of the platforms out there, whether that be Airbnb, Travelocity, Flipkey, Wimdu, etc. And one of the simplest ways is to ask yourself, am I getting, quote unquote, enough leads? And enough is a relative term. One of the easiest ways to figure this out is to look at your year over year numbers for the same location. Now, you've heard Wall Street say from time to time, same store sales, year over year performance. And this is that same thing. So what you want to do is you want to look at your previous year and see, for this 30-day period or this 2-week period or the third week in this particular month, whatever time it is that you are trying to compare, and find out, how many leads did we get? How long did it take us to close those leads? How many conversations did it take to actually close those leads? because these are the questions that will lead you to the answers of what you might be able to do in order to increase your revenue. Now, if increased revenue is not possible, again, the equation is income minus expenses equals net operating income. Therefore, the only other thing left is to begin to decrease those expenses. So what does that mean? Yes, it can mean in some cases that people would be no longer working inside of your organization. However, I'm going to encourage you to make that the choice of absolute last resort. One of the most difficult things to rebuild is your team. So you want to do your best to keep your team together, keep your team intact, and make sure that no one goes anywhere. More importantly than that, find a new version, because this is an evolution, if you will, of what it is that they are also capable of doing. It's time to add to the skills. So if we're not going to get rid of people, then what else is there? Well, it's time to look at literally every expense. I know for us, one of the easiest things that we were able to do is to go through a lot of the monthly software subscriptions. Now, whether that be channel managers or multiple channel managers, any sort of overlap. Because remember, when you signed up for that technology, you looked at the sales material and it had certain features. Now, because of time, progress, etc., there could be another tool that has come to the marketplace that has the exact same features, the exact same benefits, and maybe even some of the exact same quality, tech support, customer service, and could save you money. In fact, recently we've been doing this again because you just keep doing it round after round after round because it doesn't hurt. And we keep finding that, yes, there are a number of new tech entrepreneurs who have come to the table and been able to replace other tools we were using for, in some cases, literally half the price. So it may not seem like much or even feel like much when you're doing the exercise, but going through it will give you the ability to find things, to find those hidden gems in some cases where you weren't looking or wouldn't have looked otherwise because everything was okay. When everything's okay, we don't do this kind of diligence on our expenses because why bother? The profit's already there. Another area that would be very, very good to look at is some of the things that you can actually prepay. For example, there are a number of either software tools or insurance contracts, or maybe even rent with a particular landlord that you might be able to negotiate a discount by prepaying something. So here's what I mean. You can get a discount on an expense by paying more of that expense up front, because in the same way that your company is experiencing, less reservations, or maybe you're having more cancellations, or if you're like us, you're able to get the occupancy, but the ADR, the rates that individuals are paying you right now are not what they used to be. However, what you are able to do is you are able to possibly prepay an insurance contract, because oftentimes inside an insurance contract, for example, it will have a $5 or $7 or $2.50 fee per payment. So it doesn't sound like much, but when you have 5 units, 10, 20, 30 or more, when it can easily quickly end up to being thousands of dollars on an annual basis. And right now, anything you can do to lower an expense, well, that's almost like income. We also told you at the beginning that we were going to be looking at the portal for the economic injury disaster loan. One of the other ways, obviously, to make things continually work is to apply for any sort of emergency assistance that has been made available. And in this particular case, depending on, the country that you're in, definitely in the United States, the EIDL loan has been one of the things that's been out there. So has the PPP. But again, depending on how you structured your short-term rental business, you may not have that many employees, if any, at all. Now, with that being said, let's take a look inside the portal, because I know that many of you, haven't seen it. In fact, you've been waiting to see it for quite some time. I applied originally for the economic injury disaster loan back on March 17th, like literally the millisecond we did. Now, many of you also know that they had a problem processing those original applications, and then you had to reapply, and that was done on March 30th. You may be asking yourself, like, why are we talking about this now, Jay? Because it was like March. And here's the thing. We haven't heard from them until now. We just now got a response. See, previously, the only thing that we had heard was, well, we noticed that they pulled the credit twice. And then we kept hearing, well, we see it in the queue and we're just got to wait for the loan officer to call you. Now, mind you, at this particular point, no loan officer has ever called. Not yet. But over the weekend, received an email that just said, hey, go ahead, go to the portal, and you'll be able to get the process started. So let's go do that together and see what we can see. I haven't actually looked at the email, so it'll be interesting to see what we find, and we'll just kind of go from there and see what we can learn. So what we've got here is the actual email. As you can see, it just got it over the weekend. So I'm going to click create account, and let's create this account and see what we get. So as you can see on this page, it's just asking you to create the account, and then I'm just going to go ahead and, well, click create account, and there we are. So it seems as though that I'm eligible for $150,000. You are eligible. Please review the loan amount, verify identity, electronic disbursement is completed. What does that mean? Don't know what that means, but apparently it's completed. So got the application number, questions, need help, send a request now, and start up here with review and accept the amount. Okay. So it looks like I could choose the amount to make it different. There's a 30-year term, 3.75% interest rate, monthly payments. The payment amount would be $731. Third party. Sorry. I just find that one funny. Third party filing fee. Really? Like what? It's $100 though. Hey, payment restarts 12 months after closing. So we'll see how long that part takes. Note to applicant, selecting a loan amount does not mean that your loan has been approved. Further review of the application will be conducted. Okay, got it. So let's hit accept. And now it says amount confirmed, and it looks like I can still go back and change the amount. So let's hit continue. Please answer the following questions to help us verify your identity. Got it. Okay, so looks like it's going to be some very standard questions. Yep. In which county was I born? Oh, in which county have you lived? Ha! Read them carefully. Which of the roads is closest to your address on Portola Parkway? Hopefully that one, because I don't know. But I know that person. So great. We verified your identity. That's good. So sign submit for processing. Okay. This will submit your application for processing. Your application is being processed. Got it. So went from application, so that was previously blue, now it's red, and now I'm curious to what. Okay, so if I go back to here though, great, you've verified my identity. And I'm curious what happens if we do electronic disbursement. What is that? Oh, it's got the bank information. Okay, cool. So that's good. I didn't know. Well, it's good to know that they. You know what? It's a good idea to verify that, isn't it? Let's do that. So what I'm going to do, obviously, in this particular case, is I'm going to make sure that, well, they have the correct bank information, because it'd be really frustrating to have waited this long and then have something as small as, or something like a bank error, because this isn't quite like Monopoly, because that particular bank error would not be in my favor. That portal wasn't overly exciting, I know, and also it's better to know something to know nothing. So once the response comes back from them, hopefully we'll find ourselves in the last stage, or being able to review the documentation and the paperwork. And then we will, of course, create some highlight videos for that, because I know there are a significant amount of questions regarding the terms. Now, from the information that I have received and the documents that I have seen so far, I know there's a lot of concern around should I, does it make sense for my business type of thing. So although I'm not an attorney, CPA, or any of those things, I'm definitely going to go through the document and read it. But I also don't remember seeing anything about anything that was inside those documents that would make, or should make, any person who's intending on creating a decent business and building the cash flow and making sure income minus expenses equals net operating income. I can't see anything that's inside the document that would make someone say no. And we're going to talk about it. I'll definitely break it down and go through the clauses that I heard others have some challenges with, but I'll give you my take on it. And then obviously you'll be there. You can decide for yourself. And at the end of the day, we'll continue to build our businesses together, because that's kind of the idea, making sure that we can help you continue to grow your cash flow. So if you like information like this, by all means, please hit that subscribe button, and definitely hit the like button, because that tells YouTube that, hey, I like this, which means you need to share it. And if you don't do that, then YouTube might not share it with anybody. And that would just be sad. Anyway, it's been fun talking to you guys today. I look forward to talking to you soon. Until next time.